But I think it's a really important message to you to not limit yourself when you're looking at places to live to only those that speak your native language. Hi there, I'm Mistel Godlewski, an American girl who called the cornfields of Illinois home until over 10 years ago when I started navigating the chaos of life overseas. If you've ever felt that itch for something more, that whisper telling you to break free from the ordinary, you're in the right place. This podcast is your backstage pass to the wild ride of moving abroad. I'm here to pull back the curtain on the real journey, sharing stories that are funny, dramatic, and sometimes downright unbelievable. We'll explore the gritty details, from battling culture shock and navigating tricky visa processes to celebrating those small victories that make it all worth it. So whether you're daydreaming about a new life abroad or already in the thick of it, grab your passport and let's explore what it really means to live life beyond borders. Welcome to Abroadly Speaking. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the Abroadly Speaking podcast. My name is Mistel. Welcome back. If you've been here before, if you're brand new here, welcome. I hope this is helpful for you as you're starting your move abroad. This week, I wanted to talk about a myth that many people have about moving abroad and stops them from doing so, which is simply that you need to know the language before you move. And that's not true. I know a lot of people think that in order to move abroad, you have to be able to speak the language of the country that you're moving to. And for many Americans, for example, that limits their choices to things like England, Ireland, or Canada, or Australia, but that seems pretty far away, right? So a lot of people say, those are the only places I can live, and that's it, because they're English speaking and I don't know any other languages. And I would argue that that's absolutely not true. And I can tell you from personal experience, that's not true. And so I would love to tell you a little bit more about that, and let's chat. When we moved abroad in 2013, we moved to a German-speaking region of Switzerland. I did not speak the language much at all. My husband had zero German before we moved. I had German from the age of 5 until 9 when we lived in Germany, or 4 until 9 when we lived in Germany. And that was the only German that I had. And even then, I hadn't used it really since I was 9 years old. No one in my family other than my mom spoke German. And when we moved, we intentionally sort of returned to English because we were living in the US and we just spoke English to each other at home. And that was that. So we sort of I lost the ability to speak German. And then when I was in high school, I thought it would be more useful to learn to speak Spanish. So I took Spanish in high school. That further diluted any German language skills that I had at all, right? Because it was just not going to happen. Any foreign language in my head defaulted at that point to Spanish, and German was almost completely gone. When we moved, the only thing I could do was count from 0 to 100, and I could say the alphabet. Other than that, honestly, I might have been able to say something like, I love you, but I would not have been able to say, please, may I have 2 hot dogs or whatever, right? For me, moving abroad actually helped me with the language. When we moved, we did invest in language lessons. So specifically, we invested in German lessons. My husband's company at the time that transferred us gave us 1 lesson as part of our relocation package. So we had 1 German lesson, meaning 1 level of German. In Europe, languages are broken up into 8 levels, or I'm sorry, 6 A, B, C. Yeah, 6 levels. I can do the math. So it's A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Basically, you spend, let's say, I think it was 6 months to learn A1 level German. And that's just the basics. That's my name is, how's the weather, I live, I come from, those sorts of discussions, everything in the present tense. It's very basic conversational German, just enough to be able to not be completely lost in a conversation, but it's really not so detailed that you need to be excellent at it, for example. In Switzerland, there is a law that says that you must speak at least A1 level German within 12 or A1 level language within 12 months of arrival. So in order to reinstate your permit, because you renew your permit every year, you must have at least basic A1 level German. it's really not hard to gather that up as long as you invest the time and the language lessons that you need. And for me, that's what we worked on. We had language lessons. I had 6 months of language lessons and got A1 level. And then I decided to continue because for me, it was really important to learn the language. So I invested with our own money into language lessons. And I had private lessons with a one-on-one teacher over the internet. Eventually, I finished through B2 level German. So the way the language levels work is A1 is very, very basic. It's like I said, it's like, hi, my name is, how's the weather? I come from boy, girl, that sort of thing. But it's useful language, unlike something like Duolingo, which I think is fabulous. And I have nothing wrong with Duolingo, but I don't need to know that the green bird ate the cheese, right? Like that's not a conversation that I'm going to be having with anybody at some point in my life. Taking focused language lessons in the country with a native speaker helped me immensely to be able to speak with confidence and clarity. I was talking to another human being on the other side of the computer. She and I were on Skype together, or the equivalent of Skype, FaceTime. We were on a call together. I spoke with her. We had lessons back and forth. I had homework. Like it was an intensive program to be able to learn to speak. By the time you're done with B1 level, you are generally conversationally fluent. You can sit down and have a conversation with people. Maybe you're not reading the next like John Grisham novel in German, but you're absolutely able to sit and have a conversation, feel comfortable, those sorts of things. That really, really, really helped us to be local in speaking the language. What really solidified the language for me was actually later on. For the first 4 years we lived in Switzerland, I didn't need to speak German at work. I didn't need to speak German with our friends. Where we lived in Switzerland, honestly, the common language between everybody was English. So most of our friends spoke English as their language of commonality with everyone. We didn't really encounter a ton of German on our daily life. The only time we really needed to speak German was at the grocery store or when we were ordering food. And even then, most of the restaurants we went to, they were Italian speaking or other language speaking. And so the common language that we had anyway was English. It worked out that for the first almost 4 years, we survived without needing a ton of German language skills. It was when we moved to Austria that really everything changed for us, or at least for me. I was still enrolled in language lessons. So I had taken a break when I had my daughter and I re-enrolled in language lessons to finish my B2 language right after she was born, actually. And so we moved to Austria. I was trained in B2 level German. And then I started working in a company where the language officially was English at my role. The reality was that there were people on my team that did not speak very good English. They were not confident in English. One gentleman was on the spectrum, and his challenge for himself specifically, what was really hard for him was when he made mistakes. That's not even when he made mistakes, that was a challenge for him. He would really get down on himself if he made a mistake. He was very, very, very great at what he did, but he really struggled with, I have to be perfect. And so he and I sat down one day and I said, look, I will speak to you in German. No problem for me. It's a great practice for me, but you'll have to accept that I'm going to make mistakes in German. I word order the articles. What the heck do we need a neutral article for, right? So we use the in English, and in German, there's die, der, and das. And there's no rhyme or reason why a table has to be masculine, right? It just doesn't make sense. So I told him, I will speak with you in German as long as you, A, accept that there's going to be mistakes, and B, correct those mistakes for me so that I am able to have a conversation with you and really learn from that. And my goodness, my level of German and my confidence in speaking German, just from having him listen and be there and help, I went from being able to speak it logically and theoretically controlled situations to being out and about realistically speaking German as a normal adult conversation. And it really, really helped to be immersed in it and to talk it every single day. Anytime I had a conversation with him, anytime I had a conversation with mostly German speaking people, I would switch to German and it became natural for me. Now that my daughter is in school, she goes to a bilingual school. So it's both English and German. And her German teacher and I, each year, she's had a new one, but her German teacher and I always have conversations. Please, please, please continue to speak to me in German. It's the way that I can continue to build the language and the confidence of the language that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. I again work in an English speaking company. I again have mostly English speaking around me on a daily basis at home or at work. Everything is in English. And so for me, it's like, okay, great. My daughter's teachers are German speaking, one of them. So let's work on speaking in German to him right now. And that confirms and helps me to work better through German. My husband, on the other hand, is A2 level. So he's finished a little bit of the German lessons, but he was focused more on work and he didn't really have an opportunity to speak. So he didn't get the opportunity to have so much in the way of language and so much in the way of speaking. For example, my daughter's nutritionist does not speak English. And so I go to the nutritionist appointment. Or when the heating broke in our house, we needed to call and ask. And now we own our own home. So we couldn't call the landlord who did speak English in our previous home. But in this particular house, I have to call the I don't know, the heating guy. It's the Heizung person. And I need to be able to speak in German to explain what's wrong. One thing to know, I am not a technical German speaker. Like I have zero clue how to say certain things in English, let alone in German, right? And that's okay. We get our point across. You're going to survive your first 12, 18, 24 months with a lot of grunting, pointing, and Google Translate. And that's okay. As long as you continue to work towards learning the language. What I would suggest is if you're coming to a new country where you don't speak the language, at least try and learn some very basic phrases. Something like, thank you, or can you help me? Or I'm sorry, I don't speak insert language here. Can we speak English? Something like that goes a super long way to trying and showing that you care so that when it comes down to local integration, you can integrate, you can become part of the community. I think I talked about this before on the podcast, but if you're new, we used to do in my old job, we would call them German lunches or native lunches, actually. So every single Friday, we would have lunch in German. So everyone, no matter how fluent you were, and there were people, we had French, we had American, we had German, we had Spanish, we had Italian, so many different nationalities and so many different people speaking so many different languages. It was amazing. And we had a rule that on Fridays we did lunch in German. And it was amazing because all of us felt more comfortable and confident. We would have, if we got lost on a word, we could say the word in English. Someone who was a native speaker would help us figure out what the word was in German. And we would keep moving on. And it was great because it really gave us confidence to be able to speak to someone who was a native speaker. And now everybody was from different regions of Germany or of Switzerland or of Austria. And so like there was a lot of accented German going on, similar to the US, where you may have one person who speaks from Texas speaking to somebody from New York. You can tell that they're not speaking exactly the same language. It is the same base language, but man, does it sound a lot different. That's true in German as well for us. But it was great because we really were able to learn from each other and learn phrases and colloquialisms and like throwaway words that we need to make language real for us. And it was amazing to sit down with each other and really learn about each other that way. And then when I moved to Austria, it was a very similar situation. The girls that were reporting to me at the time, and they were two wonderful women who were reporting to me at the time, they both were German speaking and they would sit with me. And again, if I went to lunch on a Thursday or a Wednesday with them, ask them to speak to me in German. And again, if I got lost in the conversation or something was different, there's some words that are different, for example, in Austrian German than in High German or Swiss German. So I would ask them, please, can you explain that to me? Or please, I don't understand what that means. Can you either A, use another word, which would usually be the case, or B, can you say it to me in English so I can put those two words together? And it was fantastic. It was a great way to learn the language. But the thing is, coming in for the first probably 12 months of living in Switzerland, I did not speak the language. I got by on hand gestures and hope a lot of the time. But I think it's a really important message to you to not limit yourself when you're looking at places to live to only those that speak your native language. Being able to speak two languages has been nothing but amazing for me and my family. And studies show that being able to speak a second language or more than one language actually reduces the likelihood of you having dementia as you grow older. So being fully fluent in more than one language, being a multi or a polyglot, as they call it, you are able to, the synapses in your brain actually work better, and you're able to stave off things like dementia, things like Alzheimer's, because you can speak more than one language. It's not to say that it will like it's the cure all. Obviously, that's not the case, but they have seen that reduced numbers of people suffer from neurological related deficit as they grow older if they're able to speak more than one language. So there's value in all of that, right? There's value in sitting and trying and doing and taking the leap and making the best of it for a little while. And absolutely, when you get there, it is 100% necessary to work on learning the language. It's 100% necessary for you to integrate fully, to feel fully at home where you are, to learn the language. But you do not need the language before you go. All right, that's it on this one. I hope that it was helpful for you. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at I am Mistel, or you can email me. You can, I don't know, send smoke signals. I just really hope that this helps you feel confident in your decision to make the move abroad. And if you're looking for how to move abroad, shoot me a DM on Instagram or shoot me an email. I'll link that in the show notes. I would love to help you figure out how to make your move abroad happen. I have a few mini courses that can make it so much easier, and we will jump right in. All right, my friend, that's it on this one. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in to Broadly Speaking. If today's episode got you dreaming a little bigger or thinking a little braver, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready for their own adventure. And hey, don't be a stranger. Come hang out with me over on Instagram at I am Mistel for the real, unfiltered life abroad. Keep that passport handy, and remember, life's too short to stay in one place.